Hey there, my name is Santiago Alvarez, and in this video we're going to be covering the complete law firm marketing guide that I have created. It is over 41 pages long. I've put in a lot of time and effort into this, so I really hope that it's the only video that you need on law firm marketing this year. But if you don't know who I am, I'm the founder of Ad Hoc Digital. We're an agency that helps law firms get more clients, get higher quality clients, and ultimately increase the predictability of their client load. And the reason why I make these videos is because I believe that the legal industry is seriously underserved when it comes to marketing content. So let's get straight into it. As you can see, I'm just going to cover this document. If you want access to this document, it should just be the first link in the description. It's completely free, of course. And let's get started. So in 2024, marketing is now more important than ever for law firms that are not just looking to survive, but actually thrive in today's market. So in the past, it was very easy for law firms to get away with little to no marketing, like not putting in a lot of effort. But now the industry has actually become cutthroat just due to the sheer volume of attorneys that have been graduating each and every year. So as I know I'm a visual learner, it might be easier to show this than to explain it. I've actually shown a graph and plotted the percentage increase in the number of lawyers compared to the percentage increase in the population in the United States from the 1990s to 2023. So it's pretty interesting. As you can see, the lawyers are the red one here. And the percentage increase in lawyers is just significantly more compared to the population. And I'm sure you might be able to realize this. Like in some cities, it seems like if you flip a coin, it's more likely to land on a lawyer than anyone else. So let's get into it. You should be able to recognize this reality as you drive and you see countless attorney billboards, or you watch television and you see non-stop lawyer ads, or you listen to the radios and you hear these cheesy tunes trying to get you to remember their name. Like truly, the legal industry has never been this competitive. And this guide will just take a deep dive into the various aspects of law firm marketing, going into the theory, comparing the different approaches your law firm could take, and identifying the most effective one for your circumstances, and providing you with a practical step-by-step framework that you can follow to execute these approaches. So hopefully, once you finish going through this guide, this video, or reading it, your law firm will never again struggle to get clients, and you will have the ability to create the firm that you always dreamed of having. So the first point is, why even market your law firm? I mean, despite the fact that marketing plays a crucial role in the growth and sustainability of law firms, it seems that for some reason lawyers don't give it as much attention as it deserves. In fact, we looked at a Thomson Reuters study that found that 76% of law firms consider acquiring clients a significant or moderate challenge, but only 29% of them have actually implemented plans to address that client acquisition problem. And it's really strange because once you nail the client acquisition, you achieve a lot of benefits. I mean, your life gets better in multiple different ways. As you can see here, like one of them is increased revenue. Obviously, as you acquire more clients, you get more revenue. And obviously, when you get more revenue, this most often comes with an increase in personal income. And if you don't want to take that, I mean, you can distribute that to your team, and I'm sure that will give you a lot of fulfillment. Another benefit is that you have a better work-life balance. So when you have a predictable system for getting new clients in the door, you can spend less time worrying about it, and you can also use the extra money that you have to delegate more tasks, which enables you to have the firm that you desired when you first got started. You can only work on the tasks that you want, only work on the cases and clients that you want. I mean, doesn't that sound pretty good? Then you also create a competitive advantage, or as we like to call it, a moat. When you have a diversified client acquisition strategy, your business has deeper roots and it can survive more events. You're essentially making your business recession-proof because you not only have a consistent inflow of clients, but you also have more free cash flow, which can enable you to weather more difficult economic times. And building on the last point, your firm has more value. I mean, if your firm can easily and consistently acquire as many clients as it needs each and every month, it makes it way more attractive to a potential buyer if you ever do consider selling your firm. So truly, marketing is indispensable for firms nowadays. And now, before we get into everything, why should you even listen to us? Well, first, we only work with law firms, so we actually know what works and doesn't for the legal industry. We're not just going to tell you what we used on a roofing company or what we used on a gym. Only law firms, only helping them get more clients. That's all we do. Our team also brings over a decade of experience in marketing and advertising. On average, our clients see a return on investment of between 4 to 7 times within just the first 3 months. This is practical, it's not theoretical. I mean, the strategies that we share aren't things that we've read about on a blog post or watched in a YouTube videos. It's strategies that we've actually tested out with different law firms and refined through our work. And creating this guide actually took me over 50 hours of dedicated effort, but it will likely take you less than 1 hour to consume. So if you think about the amount of value that you're extracting, you're having a 50-to-1 return on your time. So I hope this encourages you to pay close attention and extract as much value as you possibly can from this guide. So, what do you even need to market your law firm? So in this section, I'm sort of going to provide you with the theory behind what you need and then cover all of the different components that you're actually going to need to build out. And then the next section, we'll talk about comparing them, so determining which one is the best fit for your particular circumstances. And then in the section after that, we'll talk about how you can actually get started. So, understanding the marketing funnel for law firms. What is a marketing funnel? So it's basically just a simple model that represents the stages a potential client goes through after becoming aware of your firm. So it tries to illustrate how the audience narrows as they move closer to making a decision, and how some leads drop off naturally as they go through this funnel. So how do these steps apply to law firms? So the stages vary depending on the specifics of your approach, but a typically used model is the AIDA approach. It's awareness, interest, desire, action, as you can see it here. Awareness is basically when potential clients first learn about your law firm and the legal services that you offer. So this can be a whole lot of different things. It can be a billboard, it can be a blog post, it can be a social media ad, it can be a referral, it can be so many different things. After that, they show interest. So they begin to show interest in your legal services. They might browse your website, they might read about your areas of expertise, follow your social media accounts, start consuming your content, start actually paying attention to what they see. Here, for example, they might just see a blog post or they might see a social media ad, but that doesn't mean that they pay attention to it. It might be in their subconscious mind that they recognize the logo, they recognize the branding. Here, they might actually pay attention to the billboard. They might actually look at the number. They might actually pay attention and watch the social media ad in full. They might actually consume your content. After that comes desire, or as we're going to refer to it, consideration. So here, potential clients start evaluating whether your firm is actually the right fit for their needs. So here, they're actually going to start stalking your website, taking a deeper look. They're going to look at your client testimonials, your case studies. They might schedule an initial consultation. They might ask other people around if you're a good firm to work with. And then after that comes the action or conversion step. So finally, they decide to hire your firm and become a client. So obviously here they made the decision, they sign the contract, or they make a payment. And whilst a simple model like the AIDA is often used, some firms actually prefer to use a more detailed funnel that includes additional steps to better capture the client journey. So here's an example of a more comprehensive model. So discovery, again, they discover your firm through many different channels. They might not really register who you are. They might not pay too much attention. They probably don't have a need at this point. Awareness, they become aware of your specific services and what your firm offers. So now they're starting to pay a bit more attention. Interest, similar to the last model, they start to show interest. Evaluation, they evaluate your firm's suitability for their needs. Again, stalking you, doing some research, doing their due diligence. Desire, they then develop a desire to work with your firm based on the information that they've gathered. Then it's a purchase or a conversion. They decide to hire your firm, become a client, formalizing the relationship. Then, these are the most important steps about the other model, is loyalty. After receiving your services, if you do a good job, they will continue to engage with your firm for their ongoing needs and support and advocacy. So satisfied clients become advocates for your firm, providing referrals and positive reviews, which helps you attract new clients. And I'm sure you're probably looking at this and looking at this, and you might be thinking that for your firm, none of your client acquisition is linear like this. And that's the truth. It's really good for setting foundations, but the client's journey is completely convoluted. They might see a billboard one time. They might jump straight to here because they had a word of mouth referral. They might not advocate for your firm. Not everyone does. So it's definitely not a perfect model, but it helps us understand the way things work and identify where bottlenecks exist and sort of what order you should prioritize the build out in. And we like to think of it, making it as simple as possible. You need a system for getting eyeballs, nurturing these eyeballs, convincing them, and finally converting them. So, to have a look at the essential marketing components that your law firm needs, it's crucial to have a diversified strategy. You never want to have all of your business dependent on one single thing, whether that's SEO, whether that's ads, whether that's billboards, whether that's TV, whether that's word of mouth and referrals. It's very risky. You want to have a diversified strategy, a very broad foundation so that you can actually build something substantial on top. And we're going to cover all of this in a later section as to what order, but in this one, we just sort of dump you with everything that you need. So my recommendation is do not try to build everything out at once, especially if you're just getting started. You're just going to get way too overwhelmed. Focus on only one at a time and just do it well. I know I just sort of contradicted myself by saying that you don't want to have your business dependent on only one thing, but the truth is you don't want to be a jack of all trades. If you go and you're trying to nail SEO, you're trying to nail ads, you're trying to nail billboards, you're trying to do events with your community and run your law firm at the same time, something's got to give. And a lot of the time, what gives is your client experience, which is the most important thing. So pick one thing, do it well, stick with your decision. We'll help you in making that decision in this video, but I hope this sort of clarifies our approach. So here are the essential components that your firm even needs. The first is branding and positioning. So most law firms already have this. It's just your brand, your colors, your identity, your tagline, your overall aesthetic, right? That is if you even have a tagline. And for this, differentiation is critical because there's so many lawyers today. It's crucial to stand out. I mean, you go from state to state, city to city, and even in the same city, all lawyers seem the same. To a potential client, they're all using the exact same selling points. Look at the amount that we've received in compensation. Look at how much we care about you. Look at how different we are, our personalized approach. You seem the same as everyone else. You need to do something that's a little bit different. And obviously some firms are nailing this, but a majority, they just don't really convince their clients of why they should work with them. They're not different to anyone. So as you can see here, this needs to be unique. If you just copy another firm and you change things just a little bit, you'll actually work to further build their brand. But luckily, this shouldn't take too long to develop, and most law firms already actually have this decided. And what is a big key consideration is that you can always rebrand in the future. So if you're just getting started, do not overthink this step. Just pick something and get started with it. Next, you need to have a website and a digital presence. So we like to think of your website as like your digital office, right? You want to have it clean. You want to have it looking nice. You want to have it grand. It needs to be aesthetic. So it's just the hub of all of your digital marketing efforts, right? It should be easy to use. It should be informative. And prospects need to find the information that they need about your firm. Like if they just can't find that, they go to research your firm and they can't get convinced, they're just going to choose another firm that can actually fulfill their needs. And it's critical to emphasize the importance of SEO. Your law firm's website should be optimized for search engines so that it can actually be found. This involves using relevant keywords, having high quality content, and ensuring that your site is mobile friendly. A lot of websites that we see are definitely not mobile friendly at all. And as I wrote here, I mean, there's no point having a beautiful website, the most aesthetically looking, you invested thousands of dollars, if no one can even find it. So keep that in mind. And what is true is that most law firms today have a website. However, most are definitely not optimized. And what we're going to cover in a later section is that this doesn't have to break the bank. It doesn't have to be that difficult. Even if you want to do it yourself, it's not really a complicated process because you can get an A- website putting in 20% of the effort that it takes to get an A+ website. Obviously, there's some firms that need the A+, but for a lot of small players, A- is enough, but yet you're settling for a C grade. It doesn't make any sense. So we'll cover that more in a later section. Next, you need to have content and you need to distribute that content effectively. So this will help nurture your audience. It will help create awareness, and it includes blog posts, articles, videos, podcasts, infographics. What should your content look like? I mean, I'm not telling you to go out and do like funny TikTok dances and just make all this funny content. Whilst if you want to do that, feel free. But I think it's more effective to make content that is educational, but it's also engaging. It's not like just like a seminar that's really boring. It needs to provide value to your audience and demonstrate your firm's competence. And some firms do this extremely well, but by most, they actually barely even utilize it. And that's because of the amount of time that this takes. So we'll cover that more, especially later as well. Next, advertising. So we recommend establishing at least one channel of advertising. For most firms, we actually recommend Google, but you can just do whatever you want. Once you have a system with which you can actually purchase clients profitably, you will never have to worry about where the next client is coming from. It's nice knowing that you can look at a client, say, okay, I'm going to purchase them for $300 and they're going to bring in X amount back. So we like to think of it as having a faucet where you have complete control over the flow. And another thing that I mentioned before, I mentioned diversification is really important. Another one is control. You want to have control. You want to steer the ship. You don't want to be just sailing in the ocean with no direction, just letting the wind take you wherever you want to go. It's important to have control. And here, what channel to use. So as I mentioned, this will be covered in more detail later, but most of the time we actually recommend having several different ones and being diversified. That way the fate of your business isn't dependent on a single platform. So you're going to see me mention this many times. And we actually recommend our clients not be dependent on solely our work. Whilst it might seem counterintuitive for our business, we want the best for our clients. And we know that being tied down to one singular vendor, one singular provider, is not the best business decision that you can make. So as you can see here, I mean, if you solely rely on Google Ads to get clients and Google decides that they want to start charging double, well, you're going to have to take 2 steps back, build out something completely from scratch before you're able to move forward again. So this is definitely not what you want. Many firms do implement advertising into their strategy. However, they often don't choose the most effective channel for their circumstance, and the execution is definitely not optimal most of the time. Also, you need to have social media and online engagement. So you should build and maintain a strong presence on social media platforms that are relevant to your audience. So whether that's on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, or Twitter, YouTube, try to regularly post updates, share content, engage with your followers. And then this is very important. You need to monitor and manage your online reputation. You need to respond to reviews. You need to address feedback and maintain a positive image. So this builds trust and credibility with your potential clients. But what I mentioned here is all it takes is one bad consultation for someone to leave a 1-star review, and that will drop your average significantly. Obviously, try to prevent this from happening, but if it does happen, you need to have a method for managing this. So think about it. Someone may have called your firm. You may just not have listened to them completely because they're completely unqualified. Let's just say you're a car accident, a personal injury firm, and someone calls you and they were at fault, they admitted fault, they were the drink driver, they caused significant damages, and they still call your firm for help because they need a lawyer. Well, obviously this is someone that you can't help, but if you maybe don't hear them out, maybe you don't make them feel understood, maybe you don't provide them with value or give them pointers as to where to look, they might just be upset. They might take all that emotion out. They'll Google your firm, leave a 1-star review saying how terrible their experience was with you. And this is like a huge stain on your white linen shirt. You definitely do not want this. So in this document, I've actually included a link as to how you can go about doing this. There's a process that you can go through. Oftentimes it takes several tries. It doesn't go through the first time. And if you need help with this, obviously reach out to an expert. But you definitely need to keep your eye on this. And here I mentioned that social media is often overlooked, and I can understand why. I mean, for many firms, it can be very time consuming because it's difficult to delegate effectively. And sometimes it leads to little to no tangible results, and especially in the short term. But this doesn't mean that it doesn't work. We've spoken with many lawyers that actually get all of their clients from organic social media. They just have quite unique approaches. So we'll cover that a bit more later. Next, you need a CRM system and you need automations. So this will help you manage and make sure that no leads actually slip through the cracks. And the automations will enable you to get to the leads immediately, making sure that your team doesn't have to be on call 24/7 and making sure that it's always personalized. You should use your CRM to automate follow-ups, reminders, and as I mentioned, making sure that no potential client slips through the cracks. So a lot of firms heavily lack when it comes to this, and this can actually be the only difference between a profitable and an unprofitable advertising campaign. So we'll cover more on this on section 3.2 in case you want to skip ahead. Next, you need to have robust analytics tools to track the performance of your marketing efforts. So You definitely don't want to be someone that doesn't know what your cost per acquiring a client is. You don't know which channels give you the best return. You or a member of your team has to regularly analyze this data to understand what's working and what's not. And then you can use these insights to optimize your strategies, allocate your resources effectively, make your dollar work where it's working the hardest for you. So it's actually surprising the amount of law firms that don't actually know this. We asked them, like, how much does it cost you to acquire a client? And they're like, well, I don't really know. Well, how many referrals do you get per client? Well, I don't really know. So without this, again, you're steering your ship blindly. You're letting the wind take you wherever it wants. This is not effective. So next, we'll compare all the different law firm marketing methods. So before diving into marketing your firm, it's crucial to understand what strategies you should actually be focusing on. So different tasks offer varying degrees of leverage, and some methods can yield exceptionally high returns for your firm, whilst others exceptionally little. So as you can see here, it's a very good quote. I thought this image was very fitting, but if you give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum in which to place it, I shall move the world. And it's true. So as you can see here, the marketing landscape can be extremely overwhelming due to the plethora of advice on the best methods for law firms, but the reality is that almost all of the methods can work. Don't let someone tell you, don't do traditional ads, only do digital. Don't do digital ads, only do traditional. The truth is that they both work. It's just some will work better for some firms, others will work better for other firms. You just have to determine which will work best for you. So in this section, we will compare and contrast different methods to help you determine which approach is best suited for your firm. Obviously, we didn't cover every single method. We didn't have the time for that, but I hope we covered some of the main ones that you were considering and contemplating. And to begin, again, we recommend that most firms select just one method for each stage of the funnel, master it, and then continue building out a second. And later we'll provide you with a checklist that you can use to have a clear understanding of what order to build everything out in. So we also provide you with an audit checklist that you can use to check where the gaps in your strategies are at the moment, and then a checklist that you can follow sort of step by step to know what you need to build out. So the first stage is the awareness stage. So like we said, you need to attract eyeballs. You need to generate people that actually realize that your firm exists. So it focuses on attracting the attention of potential clients and just letting them know that you exist. And it's the first step in the funnel. We'll start off comparing all the digital advertising methods. So to start, Google Ads. So with Google Ads, your ads appear when users search for relevant keywords, and you only pay when someone clicks on your ad or when someone calls or contacts your firm, for example, with LSAs. This model makes Google Ads a very effective way to drive targeted traffic to your website and attract potential clients who are actively looking for legal services. So I'm actually just going to show you what they look like. So as you can see, if I look up car accident lawyer near me, it shows results for Los Angeles County. You can see these are the local service ads that I was talking about. And typically it shows 2, sometimes it shows 3. Obviously this looks different on mobile. You can see there's many others that are advertising here as well, but they're at the bottom. Obviously we don't have association with these firms. Here you can see that there are the normal standard search ads, and they can look different and the quantity can vary significantly as well. Then you have the maps pack here as well, which is what it's called. And then oftentimes there are Google Ads at the bottom of the page as well. So this is sort of how they look like. Also, when you open up the maps, there's Google Ads here as well. As you can see, the top 2 are ads. So just so you sort of understand what they look like, and they apply all over the states for all different practice areas. For example, if we look up estate planning lawyer, sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. But you can see very similarly, this one has a local service ads at the top, but it actually doesn't have the standard search ads here, and it doesn't actually have any at the bottom. So it varies depending on the intent of the user. So one of the biggest advantages of Google Ads is how fast you can actually see results. So if you do it properly and you have experience, or you work with someone that does, you can attract clients very soon after the campaign starts. I mean, we have had clients that sign their first client within 3 days of launch, and this is paid for their next 3 months of advertising spend. It's also highly effective for generating high quality leads because they are already searching for your services. You're not putting your ad in front of someone that doesn't even know that they need a lawyer. You're putting your ad in front of people that are specifically searching for that. They really want it. They need it. The cons. Google Ads can be expensive, especially in competitive markets. It also requires continuous management and optimization to maintain performance. And unlike SEO, Google Ads do not provide increasing returns over time. So typically, as you spend more on Google Ads, your cost per acquisition will typically also increase. So that's something you have to keep in mind for sure. And who is this recommended for? Well, Google Ads are recommended for most law firms, and particularly those who want clients in the door as soon as possible. It's often a really good idea to set up Google Ads, achieve a fast return on investment, and then reinvest that into longer term strategies like SEO, content marketing, TV advertising, if that's what you want. The good thing is that Google Ads can be very versatile and they can be tailored to fit various budgets, which can make it a viable option for most firms. Next is SEO, which is search engine optimization, and it simply refers to the practice of enhancing your website's content, your structure, the technical aspects to improve its visibility on the search engine results page. So when you target specific keywords that potential clients might be looking for, your law firm can appear higher on organic search results and therefore increase the likelihood that potential clients will visit your site. So going back to the example that we had for car accident lawyer near me, you can see these are the organic results. And these people are definitely investing into SEO. And if they're not, well, they're extremely lucky and they're doing something right. There's also local SEO, which makes you show up higher in this maps pack. But for now, we're focused on this. So the main advantage of SEO is its potential for asymmetric returns. So over time, the returns typically improve, offering increasing benefits without proportional increases in cost, unlike advertising. And typically what we find is that the quality of leads generated through SEO tends to be higher quality than most other methods. One of the cons is that SEO requires a significant amount of time to yield noticeable results. And whilst it can yield results in just 3 months, if you're starting from scratch, it can actually take upwards of 18. So it's also susceptible to changes in Google's algorithms, which can seriously impact your rankings, even if you have been following all the best practices. So because Google can just say tomorrow, hey, we do not want to rank this sort of content anymore. We want to change how things work. Boom, that's it. It's all done. And as I mentioned here, because Google does not directly profit from SEO, they have little incentive to prioritize it over paid advertising. So Google, as you will know, is not a non-profit corporation. They're here to make money, and they don't make money through SEO. The way SEO helps them is that it provides a better user experience, which gets more people using Google and therefore more people clicking on ads. So because of that, if Google could only run ads, that's what they would do because they would make the most amount of money. So who is this recommended for? SEO is recommended for most law firms actually, and mainly those that have a stable cash flow and the ability to invest in long-term strategies. But if your firm needs immediate client acquisition, it might be more effective to start with a strategy like Google Ads and then reinvest the earnings into SEO, which is what we typically recommend. Next is social media advertising. So social media advertising refers to the use of platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram to place targeted ads in front of specific demographics. So by utilizing all the data that these platforms have, which is actually quite scary, it enables you to show and create highly targeted campaigns that can reach potential clients based on interests, behaviors, and demographics. So some of the pros are that it can often deliver cheap results when compared to Google Ads, and it can also work really fast. Some of the cons is that the quality of the leads is often much lower because the people usually don't go on social media to look for legal services. They're just scrolling, they're just sort of making time pass, and as a result you might attract individuals who are less serious about hiring a lawyer, or people that have already been turned down by other firms. They've already gone here, they've already searched, they've already contacted all of these firms, they all said no. Then they see a social media ad for a different firm, they're like, oh my god, this is a Hail Mary, I need this, and it's still get declined. So who is this recommended for? This is ideal for law firms with smaller marketing budgets, like less than $1,500 a month, or those that already have robust strategies in place and are looking to diversify their efforts further. So it's really beneficial for firms that are also looking to build brand awareness and engage with a broader audience, and it can be a cheaper option than doing billboards, TV, radio ads. So firms that are spending more than $50,000 a month. And to show you what they look like and sort of how you can find them, let me pull it up. So to find ads that people are running on Facebook, for example, you go to Facebook Ads Library. And this is completely free. You just go here and then you can search the location. So we will just do all, and the category. For most law firms, it's all ads. And we might search for a specific keyword. So if we look up, for example, car accident lawyer, you will see ads that other law firms are running, or potentially lead generation companies are running to sell leads. But you can see them all here. You can watch the videos if you're interested in them. You can also find image ads. And then here, as you can see, we have a filter for active ads. You can see ads that are currently running. You can see ads that were running in the past. And so we typically like to look at active ads, and we like to look at ads that have been running for quite a while. So it would be quite a long scroll on this video, but if you're very interested in running social media advertising, we recommend you come here, you look for specific keywords relating to your service, words that your competitors would be using in their copy, which is this, right? Let me just give you some more of an overview. This is the ad copy. This is the actual creative that they use, which can be a video, which can be an image. These can be run on Instagram, they can be run on Facebook. That's why it's called the Meta Ads Library. And if you scroll down, you can find ads that have been running for a while. And typically, if there's an active ad that has been running for a while, for example, since the 5th of July, it's probably helping them out. It's probably doing pretty well. Or they're spending a very low budget. So I could start running an ad today, run it till 2026, just $1 per day, and you'll find it here. You might look at it and think, wow, this is doing really well, but in reality, I'm tricking you. So keep that in mind. But typically, if they've been running for 3-4 weeks, it's probably performing pretty well. So to have a look at a different practice area, if we go here, maybe a family lawyer, you can also get creative with your search, and if you know a specific competitor, you can just click here and you can view all of the ads that they're currently running. So maybe this person is running ads, well, they're not. So if we go back, family lawyer, you can also make sure that it has the specific exact phrase. You can see here some ads, just search up keywords related to your practice area. If it's estate planning, if it's probate, whatever. Another option that you have is going to LinkedIn's ad library. So this one's a little more difficult to find. If you go back and you search LinkedIn ads library, you can go here and then you click on go to LinkedIn's ad library. So it's not as direct as Facebook's one. I'm not sure why it's a little bit hidden, but you can come here, and typically the firms that are going to be running ads on LinkedIn might be like more like business, intellectual property, employment. So you can see here, right? These are some for business lawyer. Maybe if we look for employment lawyer, you can also see some. And I'm not encouraging that you just go ahead and copy all of your competition, but it definitely helps to see what other people are doing to get an idea of what works, where they're advertising. And there's also ad libraries for TikTok. You can also see Google Ads, but the Google Ads one is a little more difficult to use. So let me actually just show you. So you have to go Google Ads Transparency here. And more specifically, we'll go anywhere. We'll go anytime as well. And we'll do all platforms, but you can see here as well, whether it's YouTube. And you can search the advertiser or website name. You can't just search a generic keyword. So you have to know the firm that you're searching for. So for example, you can't just look up a personal injury lawyer because that's not a keyword, but there are personal injury lawyers that have that in their title that are running ads. So for example, this one's running 200 ads in Canada, Beckett Personal Injury Lawyers, and then you can have a look at their ads here, whether it's search ads with image extensions, whether it's display ads like these, whether potentially running video ads as well. They're running a lot of them. So just to mention, we don't have an association with Beckett Personal Injury Lawyers. We're just using them as an example. And I'll show you TikTok's one as well. Okay, so to get to the TikTok ads library is a little more difficult because you actually have to log in with an account. But if you look up TikTok ads library, you should be able to find it as well. And we just can do the same thing. We can look for car accident lawyer and select your location. So we'll actually just remove this and just do all of them. And you might look here and see all the different forms of ads. A lot of them are unrelated to it specifically, but some of them will be related to insurance. Some of them seem to be related to financing cars. If we maybe go to the United States, it might be a little bit different. So some of these car accident counsel. TikTok as well makes it a little bit harder to find what you're looking for. And if you just look up car accident, maybe there's a lot of different ones. Car accident counsel, there's traffic legal services. You don't always need like that. So that should sort of give you a pretty good idea as to what they look like, how you can find them, how you can stalk your competition, and just get a starting idea as to where you should be on. Where is your competitors advertising? That's really important. Another one is display advertising. So display advertising involves placing banner ads on various websites across the internet. So you've definitely seen these before. They can be highly targeted based on demographics, interests, and browsing behavior. And a lot of the time they're used for people that have already visited a website. So if you've ever been potentially shopping online and looking for something and then it just follows you around the internet, that is done strategically. Sometimes it seems a little bit more creepy than that. I'm not going to lie. It seems like you might be talking about something and like your phone listens and then immediately you see an ad for that. I can't talk about that. But what I can say is those retargeting ads work really well. And you can think of these like digital billboards, except much more cost effective and targeted. So they offer a very broad reach, which makes it excellent for firms that are just looking to expand their brand awareness. And it's sort of like billboards that only show up to people that the platforms think are going to be interested. I mean, you can't really control who sees your billboards apart from where you put the billboards. But with this, the targeting is much more specific. Some of the cons are that despite its broad reach, it often suffers from banner blindness, where a lot of people honestly just ignore them. They can have pretty low engagement rates because of this, and the quality of leads that are actually generated from them is significantly lower when compared to other methods. So just before this, when I was in the Google Ads library, I was showing some of the display ads and what they look like. And basically, they are ideal for firms that are looking to grow their brand and increase visibility. And it works well for firms that are already pretty well diversified in their marketing efforts, both whether that's digitally and traditionally as well. But that covers all of the digital methods for this initial stage. Now, to get into the traditional advertising methods, first is print advertising. So obviously most people know what print advertising is. You can just put the ads in physical media such as newspapers, magazines, brochures, other printed materials, and the pros are a bit limited in my opinion. I mean, they're tangible and they're trusted by many readers. For an older audience, they can work really well. For a niche audience, they can work pretty well. But I think the cons heavily outweigh the pros in this circumstance. I mean, it's not the most effective method in terms of the time to see results. It's also not the one that's going to lead to you having the highest ROI. We've compared it with other methods and it just gets completely smoked by other methods. And oftentimes the impact is less direct than when it comes to digital methods. So we recommend it for firms that are targeting very local markets or specific demographics that frequently engage with print media. But we typically don't recommend it as a means of advertising though. Then comes TV and radio advertising. So a lot of lawyers will definitely be doing this that are watching this video. And obviously it involves creating and broadcasting commercials on television and radio stations. And these ads can reach a wide audience and are often associated with high credibility. They come up with a lot of trust and significant impact. Some of the pros is that TV and radio ads can significantly improve brand visibility and credibility. Over time, they can actually complement and reinforce all other marketing methods. So if people recognize your tagline or your name from a radio ad, that's going to help out with your Google ads. That's going to help out with your social media ads. It can be really nice when you combine it with the other methods as well. The cons are this type of advertising is very expensive in terms of the production, in terms of the airtime costs, and ad fatigue can occur. So it's not like you film one ad and that's your ad for life. If you were going to take it seriously, you're going to have to make frequent updates to make sure that the audience is actually still engaged. And who do we recommend this for? We recommend it for law firms that have substantial marketing budgets that are looking to increase their brand awareness on a large scale. So if you're an established firm that already has several other marketing channels that are functioning well and you're looking to further enhance your reach, this is the one for you. But if you're a smaller firm, I think there's lower hanging fruit that you can focus on. Next is outdoor advertising, which is like billboards, which is a bus stop, whether it's actually on a bus. these are just placed in public places, and they're designed to capture the attention of a large number of people who are on the move, providing visibility and constant presence. Pros, they offer high visibility and presence, as I just mentioned, and they're an excellent tool for geographic targeting. They do capture the attention of a large number of people, which can really help build your brand. Some of the cons, it can be very expensive and its effectiveness can actually be pretty questionable. We've spoken with many law firms that have invested thousands of dollars into billboards and they have not seen anything come out of it. So a lot of the time, one billboard's not going to be enough. You're just going to have multiple billboards all over the city. And if you don't have the money and the cash flow to sustain that, you're just not going to be able to get anything out of it. So, and another point that we actually outlined here is that oftentimes people that see your ads might actually later search for your firm online. And if a competitor appears higher in search results, you could lose potential clients. So this is something that competitors do a lot. Let's just say your firm is very famous and you have billboard ads everywhere. Well, let's just say your firm name is Santiago PLLC. Well, then when someone searches for that, they might be bidding on that specific keyword to show above you, and they might be paying a lot of money to steal the people that you have sort of generated through your billboards, through your TV, through your radio ads. It's quite cheeky how they do this, but it's very, very common. And who do we recommend this for? So this is for firms that also have substantial marketing budgets. It's really good as a complementary strategy for firms that already have everything else that's pretty established. And whilst it can be effective, we believe that if you are going to go down the traditional route, TV and radio might actually provide better results. And here is actually a comparison table comparing all of the methods that we covered at a high level. So you can see them here and you can access this in the document, but they're almost in order. Some of them are incorrect, but Google Ads is typically the one that we recommend the most. The cost obviously can be medium to high. The time commitment is low if outsourced. It can be medium if not. Result speed is fast, it's just days and week. And the quality of leads is medium to high. With SEO, the cost is medium to high as well. Again, the time is low if outsourced, and it can be very high if not, because there's a lot more technical and the content creation can be a little bit more difficult. The result speed is a little bit slower because it can be months to years to seeing substantial results, and the quality of leads is high, and actually it can be very high at times. So because of that, the final score is 8 out of 10. For social media ads, the cost is low to medium. It can be high, but typically to see results, it doesn't have to be very high. The time commitment is low if outsourced, again, high if not. Result speed is pretty fast as well, same as Google Ads. And the quality of leads is low to medium. It's definitely not high. So the final score is 6 out of 10. Social media ads is good if a firm is willing to sift through crap to find those hidden diamonds. Just frankly putting it that way. Like, you're going to have to talk to a lot more people, but you're going to probably get a cheaper cost per acquiring client. So that's something to consider. Display ads, the cost can be low to medium. Obviously, it can be high. You can spend as much as you want. The time commitment is pretty low, and it's medium if you're not outsourcing it because you have to learn it. Result speed is medium. It can be weeks to months, and the quality of leads is low to medium. And in fact, it should actually be very low. So because of that, we gave it a 5 out of 10. With print ads, the cost is medium to high. It can be low, but the time commitment is low to medium. The result speed is medium, just a few weeks potentially. The quality of leads, again, also medium. Because of that, we gave it a 5 out of 10. For TV and radio ads, the cost is very high, and the time commitment can be medium to high because you have to produce these ads. The result speed can also be pretty fast though, which is a very big pro, and the quality of leads is high. So because of that, the final score is 7 out of 10. Next is outdoor ads, the final one that we covered. The cost is high, the time commitment is low to medium, and the result speed is typically medium, and it can be fast in some situations. And the quality of leads can be, honestly, it can vary a lot. I'm actually going to update this. It can be low to high. It can be anything. So because of that, we gave it a 5 out of 10. So in terms of the recommended order, where should you start to effectively build out this step, the awareness, the attracting eyeballs step? So we recommend start off with Google Ads, establish a reliable source of revenue, establish a proof of concept, and then once you're making money, then you can worry about reinvesting into everything else. don't worry about putting in a huge amount of upfront investment into something that's going to take a long time and isn't going to guarantee you results. I'm not saying that Google Ads will work for every single person. I'm not saying that they guarantee results, but it's one of the ones that will work the fastest. Then after that, we typically recommend SEO and content marketing. So they both work very well together. Once your Google Ads are bringing in enough revenue, it's steady, it's consistent, you can start investing into longer term strategies that have more asymmetric returns. And just so you know, content marketing will be covered in the very next section. And third is display ads, TV and radio, and social media ads. So we would typically recommend social media first, display second, TV and radio third. So once you have a solid foundation with Google Ads, SEO, content marketing, you can then expand to these channels to reach an even broader audience. So keynote, for most firms, focusing on Google Ads and SEO and or content marketing will be sufficient to meet their goals. The third step is mainly for firms that are looking to have significant expansion and a larger market presence. And if you even want to be a big firm, Google Ads, SEO, and social media ads is honestly enough. Next is the interest step, which is nurturing eyeballs. So once you have a solid strategy for generating attention, the next step is to nurture this interest to maximize your effort. So it doesn't really matter if you're getting thousands of people to learn about your firm if you are converting none of them. And this is an area where many firms fall short, but fortunately, it doesn't require a lot of ongoing effort to see significant benefits. Most of the benefits come from an initial setup and one-time build-outs. And by focusing on nurturing potential clients, you can turn interest into genuine consideration and move them further down the marketing funnel. So the first one that we cover is actually a digital method. It's lead nurturing automations. So these involve using technology to automate the process of engaging and guiding potential clients through the sales funnel. And when you set up automated workflows, you can ensure that you always have prompt, timely response, and it's actually relevant with the leads, which helps build relationships and move prospects closer to becoming clients without requiring continuous manual effort. And in regards to the pros, it typically saves time and ensures consistent, rapid communication with leads. You can get to leads straight away. You can get to them within 5 minutes at any time of the day. They can also be highly personalized based on lead behavior, which greatly increases engagement and conversion rates. They truly allow for scalable growth, like handling large volumes of leads without requiring that much more additional effort or cost. Some of the cons: setting them up does require an initial investment of time and obviously money. And if not properly managed, they can come off as impersonal or spammy, which can actually put leads off your firm. So you have to make sure that you do it right if you are going to do it. Who do we recommend this for? This is recommended for all law firms. I mean, I think every firm can benefit from implementing these systems. They help attract more clients, keep existing clients happier, and reduce the workload of you and your team. The last thing that you want to do is invest money into ads and marketing and constantly have to be on call to make sure that the leads you are generating aren't lost to competitors. And the reason why they are so important is because in many situations, people end up working with the first, albeit competent firm that responds to their inquiry, not necessarily the best firm or the one that spends the most money on advertising. So when we often see is that a lot of firms think they have a lead or a lead quality problem, but in reality, the true issue is a lack of these systems. We have seen these systems double lead to client conversion rates, and this has been the one single change that has taken an unprofitable campaign to profitable with no other changes. So we can't emphasize the importance of this enough. I think it's really, really important, and it has the ability to seriously move the needle. Next is email marketing. So email marketing involves sending targeted, relevant emails to a list of subscribers to nurture leads and help move them through the marketing funnel. And by delivering valuable content directly to the inboxes of these potential and existing clients, you can stay top of mind and essentially sell these individuals on why working with you is the right choice. So email marketing offers direct communication. It also has the highest return on investment out of any advertising channel, typically between 36x and 40x, because it is so cost effective and it can be automated as well to save time. Cons: for many practice areas, there is a potential for low engagement. This is especially the case if it's a practice area where the decision-making window is very short, say personal injury, criminal defense, whereas like estate planning, where people put off the decision for months, honestly, even years, there it works significantly better than it does with car accidents. What it can work really well to do is remind your clients that you exist. Sometimes they may know someone that got into an accident and they just didn't even think to refer them just because they forgot. I mean, life is so busy. You're worried about your mortgage, you're worried about all of this different stuff that you have going on in your work, in your life, with your family, with everything. You forget. You can't expect people to remember about your firm. Honestly, we're not that special. No one is that special. So, because of that, staying top of mind is truly important, and it's where you can get the most amount of benefit. And who do we recommend this for? So, we recommend it for all law firms as well. It doesn't need to be overly time consuming. We typically suggest just creating a simple email flow that's tailored to different types of recipients. So, one for new leads that nurtures them and encourages them to book a consultation. Another one is for people that have already booked a consultation, which will help improve your show rate and increase the likelihood of them retaining your firm. Another one is actually to past clients. So, as I just mentioned, sending infrequent newsletters to remind them that you exist and encourage referrals. So we found that whilst it might not generate a large volume of business for our clients, the additional clients that it does bring in come in at a huge ROI since it costs so little to implement. You can just have a company help set this up for you, go live with it, and then you don't really have to worry about it again. And you might get a few extra clients a month, but for the amount that it costs you, it has an insane return on your investment. So another one is actually social media engagement. So this involves actively interacting with followers on platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and this helps build relationships, share valuable content, and increase brand visibility because you're actually showing your content to more people through this way. And one of the pros is that this is practically free most of the time if you're doing it yourself. You can have team members do it as well, but it can also help enhance other methods like content marketing. Some of the cons is that it can be extremely time intensive and often it produces a very small return for that effort. I wouldn't recommend it for most firms because I believe there are more productive uses of time, such as the automations, email marketing, content marketing. However, if you have the other mechanisms working well and you have a team member that can actually take care of this, I would say go for it. I think the downside is so low. It's just if you're busy, you're a lawyer, you have a small firm, I think there's other things that move the needle more than social media. Next is content marketing. So content marketing can be both a method for generating awareness, but it also works as a nurturing method. So before, at the very start of this guide, we talked about how some firms might first come across your firm through a blog post. And as you can see here, we have put it as a nurturing method because the awareness generated through that, I think there's more effective methods. But this essentially involves creating and distributing valuable and relevant content to attract and engage a target audience. So for law firms, this typically includes blog posts, articles, resources, videos, and even podcasts for some that can provide useful information related to legal services. So the goal is to establish your firm as an authority, as a thought leader, and build trust with potential clients. So pros, it's often very cost effective. It can be pretty inexpensive or even free a lot of the time. It does help build a strong brand presence as well. And it can also deliver increasing returns over time as more content is accumulated and indexed by search engines and you start building your brand on social media, for example. Some of the cons is that it requires regular updates to stay relevant and maintain audience interest. So the focus should always be on quality over quantity, but if you can do both and have quality, that would be the best. But you want to make sure that each piece of content is well researched and valuable, and it also demands significant time and resources to produce consistently high quality content. So this can be ideal for small law firms that have a small marketing budget and aren't too busy. I mean, if you have some spare time, go for it. If you create valuable content for niche topics, you can actually generate a decent amount of traffic, which is immediately nurtured. We've seen some of our clients that have a few articles that get them all of their business, and it's pretty impressive. And another thing is that the leads that come in from this tend to be of very good quality. So this can work very well for larger firms as well. But if you're very busy dealing with clients, I think it would help to have someone that's in charge of this. And it should come at no surprise that it is very difficult to create resources and manage a firm at the exact same time. And if you're interested in learning about how we automate a lot of this, head to section 5.1 where we actually give you access to an internal resource that we use for this. We use ChatGPT for it. We don't just copy and paste what it outputs, but it definitely helps a lot. So next is webinars and live events. So obviously most people know what a webinar is and they definitely know what a live event is. but they help because they can be interactive and informative, and they can enable you to demonstrate your expertise, to answer questions, and build trust with your audience. When you host them, you can create a more personal connection with the people that are attending, and you can position yourself as an authority in your field. So they allow for direct engagement with potential clients. It has an interactive platform where they can ask questions. It really builds a lot of trust. The cons is that it can require a lot of preparation and time and resources, and they also don't really make sense for a lot of practice areas. So for some of them, it makes more sense, like here, estate planning, business law, tax law, and others. For most firms, I think there are more effective methods. Then it's direct mail. So direct mail involves sending physical mail such as brochures, letters, or postcards to potential clients. This method allows for, again, personalized and targeted communication. It's tangible, it's a direct way to reach your audience. Some of the pros, again, is that it's tangible and it can be personalized to the area, even to the person if you want. And it can create a strong connection. The physical nature can make it more memorable. I mean, what if someone grabs that direct mail, they pin it on their fridge? That would be nice. But they can be expensive due to the cost of design, printing, and distribution. Also, there is a very high likelihood that the recipients perceive it as junk mail and just discard it. In fact, 44% of direct mail is never opened. So some bar associations actually restrict this. So because of this, we typically don't recommend it for most firms. We recommend it for firms that are targeting very high value clients or very niche markets where the personal touch can make a significant impact. But for most firms, I think there are better alternatives. Next is community involvement, which is one of my favorites. It involves participating in or sponsoring local events, doing charity work, community-focused activities essentially. And this helps build a local presence and demonstrate your firm's commitment to the community. So it can just build really good relationships. It's really good for your PR. It's really nice. It builds a nice word of mouth. It also increases referrals. The cons is that they can be very time and resource intensive, and it requires very long-term commitments to see substantial benefits. So we typically recommend this for firms that have a strong local focus and that actually really care about this, that aren't doing it just for the marketing benefits. You'll see below in the table, we didn't rate it the highest. And the reason behind that is because from a marketing perspective, there's better alternatives, but from a personal fulfillment one, this can be really good. So if we look, lead nurturing automations, the cost is low. If you're getting someone to set it up for you, it's medium. The time commitment is low. Honestly, it's really low. The engagement quality is very high and the personalization can be very high. For that, we rated it a 9 out of 10. If it was free, it would be a 10 out of 10. Email marketing, again, the cost is low to medium if you're getting someone to do it for you. The time commitment, honestly, it's more so low to medium. I'm going to edit this. And the engagement quality is medium. It's not as high as the lead nurturing automations. The personalization is also medium, and because of that, we gave it an 8 out of 10. For content marketing, the cost is pretty much low to medium unless you decide to completely outsource it, which in that case, it can be high or even very high. The time commitment, if you're doing it yourself, is high, whereas if you outsource it, it can be low. The engagement quality is also very high, and the personalization is high. Because you have so much content that tailors to each person's needs. So because of this, we gave it an 8 out of 10. Social media engagement, we said the cost is low. It's very low. Time commitment can be pretty high unless you outsource it. The engagement quality is also high and the personalization is very high. But because of the return that you get from it, we gave it a 6 out of 10. For webinars and live events, the cost is medium, the time commitment can be very high, and the engagement quality, however, is also very high. The personalization is also high. So because of this, we gave it a 7 out of 10. And for direct mail, the cost is medium, the time commitment is low to medium, the engagement quality is low to medium, and the personalization can be low all the way to high. So because of this, we gave it a 5 out of 10. And for community involvement, the cost can be medium to high, the time commitment can be high to very high, and the engagement quality can also be very high. And the personalization here actually should be very high. Final score, we gave it a 6 out of 10 from a marketing perspective. But as I mentioned here, like if you want to do it for personal fulfillment, do it, go for it. In terms of purely marketing, purely revenue, start with the nurturing automations and the email marketing. So they do require some initial effort. You can outsource this effort. You can pay a company to help set this up for you. Even we can help selfishly plugging, but it will save you a lot of time and money in the long run. So well-designed automations will help convert clients at every stage of the journey. Content marketing, again, this demands ongoing efforts, which is why it's listed second, but it can significantly impact your firm's visibility and client engagement. So either dedicate time to this yourself or hire someone to assist. And as I mentioned here, to be honest, that's usually enough, but then you can choose any that you want. So me personally, I would choose community involvement, but for you, pick whichever other one that you want. This one you can set up pretty quickly, pretty cost effectively, and this one you can also set up, but you have to be consistent with it. Next is desire, or the consideration step, which is where they are evaluating your services. So in this stage, potential clients are seriously considering your law firm and evaluating whether your services actually meet their needs or whether another firm might be a better choice. So unlike the earlier strategies where all of them are compared, in this one we just outline the elements that your firm needs, and many of these most law firms already have in place. And so you can sort of look at the ones that you don't have and understand what order to prioritize them in. And these components also don't require extensive effort to establish, but they are crucial for converting this interest into action. So we are here at the third stage. So some of the best practices. One of them is having free consultations and assessments. And I know as I say this, there's going to be a lot of lawyers that are listening to this and thinking, no way, I do not want to offer free consultations. I've tried that before. It sucked. The people that came through were just kicking tires. They were wasting my time. But just hear me out. So they obviously provide potential clients with the opportunity to discuss their legal issues with your firm without any financial commitment. And this interaction enables you to and then essentially sell them on why working with your firm is the right choice. Here's the importance. It will always attract a higher volume of potential clients, and it will enable you to showcase your expertise and build trust from the outset. And it will also always lead to a cheaper client acquisition cost. That's what we found. However, you do need to be mindful of the time commitment and the potential for attracting non-serious inquiries. I'm sure that many of you that offer free consultations know what this is like. If you're receiving a lot of unqualified prospects, you should consider tailoring your marketing strategy before charging for an initial consultation. So this is a problem our clients have dealt with so many times. For the practice areas that it's not common to offer free consultations. The way that we go about fixing it is typically at the marketing level. And if you want a video on how we do that, just comment it below and I'll do my best to make a video on our entire procedure for going through that. But we typically don't recommend financially qualifying leads through this. There's better methods that will lead to a cheaper client acquisition cost. Though, if you don't understand and you don't really care about it, just offer the paid consult and it will still be fine. Another important consideration is whether the initial consultation should be in person, whether it should be via Zoom, or whether it should just be a simple phone call. So this table shows the pros and cons. But to summarize all of this, I would just say the best option is to offer all three and let the potential client decide. We have found that the leads that come in for an in-person consult typically convert at a higher rate and end up being better clients in the long run. But this depends on the individual client. So for all, I would recommend offering all three if you can, but encouraging the in-person consults. Next is client testimonials and case studies. So they're powerful tools for demonstrating your success, building trust with potential clients. I mean, testimonials provide what people say about your firm. Case studies show some of the results that you've gotten. The importance is that they just build trust and credibility. They highlight your firm's strengths, your unique value proposition, and it helps persuade potential clients to choose your services. So when you gather authentic testimonials and you create detailed case studies, you can significantly enhance your marketing efforts. They help boost all others. It's like a rising tide that lifts all boats. And this doesn't require a lot of time. There are many ways to automate it. We've tried this in the past. The best way we found is just to simply personally ask. Just send them a personal email or a message or a phone call, or even if you see them in person. It's just the easiest and most effective way, to be honest. Next is building out your CRM and follow-up system. So this is sort of related to the lead nurturing automations that I covered before. So these are essential tools for organizing client information, managing interactions, and maintaining personalized communication with clients. So the main focus of this is not letting leads slip through the cracks. That's the key focus. They enable you to automate the follow-up, making sure that nothing is missed. It will improve the experience for your existing clients, and it will also help with prospective clients. So I don't think this step requires too much deliberation. It can just be built out once, and then it will save you plenty of time in the future, and plus it will help in converting more prospects into clients. And even if you don't want to build it yourself, if you find a company that's able to help with this, it shouldn't be too expensive to set up. Next is landing pages and calls to action. So a landing page is a standalone web page created specifically for a marketing or advertising campaign, and it has a single focus or a goal in mind. So typically it's to convert visitors into clients or leads, even at a slower stage. Calls to actions are prompts on these pages that encourage visitors to take specific actions, such as signing up for a newsletter, downloading a resource, or scheduling a consultation. So they're really important because they provide a clear path to conversion, which makes it easier for visitors to understand the next steps. They're highly measurable. You can A/B split test them to make sure which one works the best, and you can always track their effectiveness and make data-driven decisions. Well-designed landing pages with strong calls to actions will significantly improve all your conversion rates. But typically, you're only going to look at this if you already have digital marketing and advertising campaigns. So if that's not you, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Next is asking for referrals. So whilst it might sound incredibly simple, this is sometimes not utilized as much as it should be. You can just ask past clients, other attorneys, or other professionals to refer clients, and obviously it works really well. I mean, all you have to do is ask, put yourself out there and ask. It can work really well, especially for firms with lower budgets. If you have a very, very small budget, instead of spending it on advertising, it might actually be better taking other attorneys out to lunch, for example. They help build a loyal client base and can significantly reduce your marketing costs. And typically, the clients that are referred are the most likely to trust and hire your firm that are based on a positive recommendation. The main problem with asking for referrals is that you have fluctuations. Some months it'll be super busy, you can't get any more clients, and next month it will be so dry. So because of that, you want to have other methods, which the advertising, the ones that were covered in the 3.1 section, are the most important because, like I said, they act like a faucet. It's a little quieter, you just turn it open, get more outflow. It's a little busier, you just turn it off. So keep that in mind. Next is covering the recommended order. So typically, implement the free consultations first and have a way that clients can schedule themselves in. You can have Zoom, you can have in-person and phone call without too much operational complexity. Also, asking for referrals and client testimonials, so these two can be done at the same time. Like I said, a simple personal email will work the best. Don't let anyone tell you that they can automate all these specific systems for getting reviews. I think personally asking will always be the best. Next is CRM and follow-up systems. So these take a bit longer to set up, which is why they are lower on the priority list, but they will save you a lot of time and effort in the long run. And finally, landing pages. So these only really apply if you're focused on generating online traffic, which is why they are fourth and not higher up. So this is the final step of the funnel: action, conversion, becoming a customer. So from here, the focus shifts on nurturing potential clients to converting them into actual clients. So it covers the essential elements and prioritizes law firms to focus on a smooth and effective conversion process. And again, like the previous section, this isn't a comparison, but it should give you an overview of what your priorities should be. So we're finally at the final stage of the funnel. So for the best practices is having a smooth onboarding process. A seamless onboarding process is crucial for converting potential clients into active clients. This involves clear communication about the services, the terms, the expectations, making sure that new clients feel comfortable and informed from the start. And a well-structured onboarding process builds trust, reduces uncertainty, and it sets a positive tone for the relationship. It also helps you in your process because you gather the information that you need and you can align client expectations with your firm's services. Next, sort of building on that, is having plenty of communication with clients. So when you maintain frequent and transparent communication with clients, this is essential for building trust and ensuring client satisfaction. So this includes regular updates on case progress, answering queries promptly, and providing reassurance throughout the entire legal process. So it's super important because this consistent communication makes clients feel valued and supported. It reduces anxiety about their legal matters and it helps set expectations better. It also fosters a stronger relationship with your clients and it minimizes misunderstandings and ensures that clients are well informed at all times. Honestly, what we find a lot of the time is when people leave bad reviews, it's not because the lawyer did bad work, but it's because of the communication. You can do the best work, but if you don't have the best communication, it's really, really going to harm you. So do your best to over communicate with your clients always. Next is client welcome packages. So providing new clients with a welcome package that includes information about your firm, contact details, and an overview of the process and what they can expect. So you can even give them small gifts if you want, but these help to create a positive first impression of your firm and show your commitment that you actually care about them. And these can also help referrals as well. So they're not just giving away and receiving nothing back. They will bring you more clients back. So now moving on to the next big section. I know that last section was quite long, and I'm sure that you understand all the different forms right now. But now we have to look at what order to actually prioritize them in. So now that you know all the different components that you need to build out, it's extremely important to identify what order to build them out in. So if you don't follow a proper sequence, you're not going to maximize your resources. You're going to take longer time to see results, and you're not really going to have a good foundation for long-term success. So because of this, we use a back to front to back approach. So what this means is that you need to build out the basic components for the action step, then the desire step, then the interest, and then finally the attention step. And the reason we do this is because you want to make sure that you can effectively handle and convert any and all of the leads that you generate before you actually start putting money into marketing and advertising. The processes for action and desire and interest typically don't require as much effort or ongoing management as the one for generating attention. So you can generate a few quick wins and then put all of your focus into building a really solid lead generation system. Then, once that system is built, you can work on making small improvements to everything. And by following this approach, it will help your firm get the most benefit from the amount of effort that you put in. So you can see here, just start front to back to front, and then it's an endless cycle of constant iteration, which is the way that it should be. So first, we have to assess where your law firm currently sits. What are your current marketing efforts like? So before diving into the new marketing strategies, it's super important to understand where you are right now, where your firm currently stands. This involves conducting a thorough and narrow assessment and analysis of your existing marketing efforts to identify what's working, what's not, and where there are really opportunities for improvement. So for this, we recommend conducting a marketing audit, which we have a checklist for here, which we'll cover in just a second. It's essentially just a comprehensive review of all of your current marketing activities, their performance, and the outcomes that they've generated. So this should cover every aspect: digital, traditional, conversion, every single different step. Then you can identify strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. So you can do a SWOT analysis to gain a clear understanding on your firm's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It will help inform your strategy and make it more realistic. And then you have to set realistic marketing goals. So based on the insights you gain from this audit and SWOT analysis, set clear, measurable goals that align with your firm's objectives and that you can actually achieve. You don't want to set objectives that are so far out of reach that you just can never achieve them. So, as I mentioned, to help with this process, we have included a checklist which you can use to do this entire process. So, you'll be able to access it in the first link below. It will have all of the resources that I've covered. And if you go here, you go File, Make a Copy, you'll be able to edit it and honestly just go through this. So you can see it goes through your overall performance. So if you have a system for getting clients on demand, how you feel about it, what you're happy with, what can you improve the most? Are you even using analytics? Because a lot of firms are not. Are you achieving your marketing goals? Are your current strategies just delivering the expected results? What are some quick wins you can implement based on what you've seen on the guide? Do you regularly review and adjust your strategies based on data? Or have you just been doing the same thing for a really long time because you're comfortable? What I recommend is you go through this entire audit in depth, actually put some time into it once you have finished going through this entire guide. Next, client satisfaction. Are your clients even satisfied with your services? How often do you collect feedback from them? Do you have a system in place to address and resolve their complaints? Referrals. How many referrals do you receive each month? What percentage of your new clients come from referrals? And how many people does an average client refer? For market positioning, is your firm positioned correctly in the market? Are your value propositions clear and compelling? And how does your positioning compare with your competitors? As I mentioned at the very start of the guide, there's so many law firms nowadays, you need to stand out. So you can't position yourself in the exact same way as everyone else and expect different results. For lead quality, are the leads you're generating high quality and relevant? This is a big problem that we see for a lot of firms. There are ways to fix it, and I will make a video on this later. If you guys are interested, leave it in the comments as I mentioned previously. What percentage of your leads convert into paying clients? How are you qualifying and nurturing leads? What's your process like? Then you have a written reflection, which is a SWOT analysis. So strengths, what does your firm do well? What unique resources and capabilities do you have? What do your clients see as your strengths, right? Getting feedback from your clients is one of the best things you can do. Weaknesses. Where could your law firm improve? What resources do you lack? What feedback have you received from clients that show areas that need improvement? Opportunities. What are some external factors that could benefit your law firm at the moment? Are there any trends in the legal industry that you can capitalize on? What are some new markets or services you could explore, if any? Threats. Identify potential challenges your law firm might face. If you're a small firm, it might be difficult to compete with the big firms, the mills. If you're a big firm, it might be profitability. Are there any changes in the legal industry that could negatively impact your law firm? This is a big one. What about AI? How could that impact your law firm? How can you make your firm AI proof? What are your competitors doing that could pose a threat? Also keeping this in mind. And then setting goals. So having SMART goals. So specific goals, make sure they're clear, they're precise. So for example, you want to increase the number of new client consultations by 20% in the next quarter. Measurable. How are you going to measure the progress? Obviously for this one, it's just tracking the number of consultation bookings. Well, that might sound simple, but how do you track it at the moment? Do you have software? Do you track it in a spreadsheet? Do you track it written? Find a system and make sure that it works effectively. Achievable. Make sure that it's realistic and attainable. So if you just want to increase your consultations, but you're not going to change anything, you're probably not going to achieve it. So here you can see that we recommend, for example, for this goal, allocating additional budget to marketing efforts to actually drive those new consultations. Relevant. Make sure these goals align with your overall business objectives. So, for example, focus on attracting clients in a practice area that is very profitable. Or if one of your goals is to hire more attorneys, well, focus on getting that revenue to hire another attorney. Time bound. Set deadlines for achieving your goals. So, for example, achieve the 20% by the end of next quarter. So here you can outline short-term goals, immediate priorities that can yield quick wins, long-term goals, set objectives that align with your firm's vision and growth plans, action plan, break down each goal into actionable steps, which is the most important part, and you should spend the most amount of time on this. Next is a very granular analysis that you can go through, and it just sort of covers everything that we have. So do you have an onboarding process? What is it like? Do you have a communication process? And you can go through this in your own time to make sure that you have everything that you need, right? You can just go through all of this. And if you see areas that don't have any ticks, well, maybe that's where you should focus your efforts first. So I highly recommend that you put in a lot of time into this. It might take a fair amount of time to go through it properly, but it will yield very high returns. So next, the section that I'm sure that you've been waiting for. I've told you sort of the theory, comparing all the other different methods. Now, how do you get started? You might be convinced, you're like, okay, let's go. I want to get started now. So this will outline where to start and the practical steps that you need to implement your marketing strategy. So for this, we also have a checklist that you can use for a more simple and granular breakdown as well. So you can see here, go through this document first, and it tells you what you need. So create an onboarding process, etc. But we're just going to cover it in the document. You can just, again, go file, make a copy of this and go through this. Again, if you want to access it, it should be the first link in the description below. So from back to front, as we mentioned, because our approach is back to front to back. And this is basic, and it's a lot of quick wins. So this shouldn't take a long time to go through. Honestly, it should be a couple of weeks. The recommended software. So you'll see that we refer to the software Go High Level a lot. It is truly amazing. There's one software that we found that covers the most aspects out of any. You can do the automations there. You can schedule your content there. You can have an omni-channel inbox where all of your different channels, whether it's social media, whether it's Google Business, which is unfortunately getting removed, all of your messages come into one place, which is great. You can also do email marketing. You can even have your website on there. There's a lot that you can do. We'll recommend it many times. And to try it out, you can use our affiliate link if you wish. It does give you a 30-day free trial. If not, we still highly recommend it, whether you choose to use that link or not. I think you get a 2-week free trial if you just use a standard link. I recommend you just get the free trial, try it out, see if you like it. It's $97 a month, which is very affordable for what you get because it consolidates a lot of different softwares. So I couldn't recommend it more. So going here into step 1 is the onboarding process and communication procedures. So for this, just create a solid onboarding process, which a lot of firms already have, and clear communication procedures. It sounds simple, but doing it right will significantly increase your referrals. When clients feel good about their experience with you, they're more likely to become advocates for your firm. And this always starts with the onboarding process. If you have a sloppy onboarding process, they're going to be doubting themselves. They're going to be thinking, did I make the right choice? Should I have hired a different firm? You need to start it good from the start. So here's a few tips for creating an onboarding process. First is have a welcome package, as we mentioned before. Second is to have a detailed client intake form so that you have everything you need and you don't need to be having a match of email tennis going back and forth. Next is to create a solid consultation process. Have a procedure that you sort of go through on each consultation so that it's not just free flowing and going wherever. Obviously, you can't have an exact script that you follow every single time, but if you have a process, it will make your firm come across as much more professional. And then fourth is to create a standardized service agreement. So a lot of law firms already have that. Next is developing communication procedures. Sorry about that. First is to set clear expectations. Second is to tailor the channel to the client's preference. So if the client doesn't use their email, don't be emailing them. If they prefer to call them. If they prefer text them. But be sure to combine that with the expectations. If you tell your client, this is when I'm working, this is when I'm not, this is how long it takes me to respond, they will know to wait. If you tell them, look, it takes me 1 day to respond at the most, they're like, okay, I sent them a message, they haven't responded, they told me it was going to be a day. But if you never tell them that, they think, oh my God, does this person even care about me? They start thinking about all these things because they don't know what to expect. So setting expectations is really crucial. Third is be responsive. Communicate a lot. If they send you a message, you need to respond fast. And fourth is to create a feedback mechanism. So have a method for getting feedback from your clients as to how you're doing. So you can have NPS surveys. You can just simply ask them, like, how do you feel? What would you like me to do differently? These are all ways that you can better your experience for future clients, which is only going to lead to a better client experience, which leads to more referrals, which is amazing. Then step 2 is consultations, testimonials, referrals, and CRM. So this step establishes setting up all of these. So for scheduling consultations, we recommend using a scheduling software to automate the booking process and the reminder process as well. This allows clients to book themselves in. It also makes it easier for your staff to book them in, to reschedule them or cancel if needed. It saves you and your team a lot of time from endless back and forth when coordinating times. So for this, again, we recommend go high level. For gathering client testimonials, make sure that you're regularly requesting testimonials from satisfied clients, whether that's through follow-up emails or post-service interactions. Like we mentioned earlier in the guide, we've tried automating this in the past, but honestly, the best method we've seen is just to be personal. And then once you have these referrals, these testimonials, make sure that you display them prominently, obviously with your client's consent, on your website and your marketing materials. Next is encouraging referrals. So like the testimonials, the most effective way is just to be personal. You should ask current and past clients, other professionals and attorneys to refer new clients. And do your best to make it easy. People will find any excuse possible because they're so busy. Like I said, they're worried about their mortgage, their job, their relationships, their family, what they're going to have for dinner. You're not that important in the scheme of things to them. You have to keep that in mind. So you need to make it as easy and effortless as possible. For this, we typically recommend having a downloadable V-card. You can include this in your emails. You can have this in your website. But what this does is you can create You can add a photo, you can create a V card that they download, and when they download it, it automatically adds you to their contacts. So they can have you saved as John Brown, criminal law attorney, and then they'll always have you there. So if they look up attorney in their contacts, you're there. They know they can reach you at any time. Really recommend this. So next is setting up a CRM system. So if you don't already have one, you should set up one to stay on top of all of your client relationships and make sure that leads do not slip through the cracks. Again, for this, we recommend Go High Level. There are many great options, so feel free to use the one that seems like the best fit for you. There's also HubSpot. There's also legal specific CRMs. We just recommend Go High Level because if you're going to be using it for all these other things, you may as well not pay for another CRM if you don't need one. Next is step 3, which is the lead nurturing automations, the basic ones. So once you have set up your consultations, your testimonials, your referrals, and your CRM system, now you want to establish basic lead nurturing automations and email marketing. So this ensures that you're promptly responding to potential clients and keeping them engaged throughout the entire decision-making process. So for this, you want to have a missed call text back. So because you're a lawyer, you're probably busy, your team is probably busy, you should definitely consider this. It's super easy to set up, but it makes it so that anytime you miss a call, the caller will receive an immediate text message, which acknowledges their call and lets them know that you will get back to them shortly. So to set this up on Go High Level, you can go to this link. It's very quick. There's a short video that covers it and it tells you how to do it. So it's very, very good. And here you can see businesses lose an estimated 75 billion each year due to poor customer service. So this is really good because it has an instant response, it has customizable messages. It works great. Go through this guide when you can. Next, on top of the missed call text back, you need to have an automation which fires when a lead submits a form. So a lot of the time leads are submitting the forms for many different firms, and the first firm that gets back to them will actually win their business. So if you're someone that doesn't want to have to be on call 24 hours, which I hope it's you, then this is definitely for you. And for this, you can create it quite quickly just using one of the pre-built templates. Obviously, you can get more advanced. You can have a company build it for you, but the Fast 5, if you're just looking to get started immediately, looking for the easiest option, start here. It's really good. Obviously tailor it to your practice area and what you think is going to work best for you. Step 4, make it possible for people to find you and contact you. So now that we have some basic conversion systems, you need to make it so that potential clients can find your firm. This step involves setting up a website, ensuring it's integrated with your CRM and automation tools, optimizing your online profiles, and making sure that you're visible on local directories. So a lot of firms already have this taken care of. This is more a beginner step, but if you don't have this, definitely pay attention now. So with your website, you can do it yourself or you can have a professional option. So if you do want to get started quickly and you don't have a large budget, you can quite easily build your website using a template. If you're using GHL as your CRM, which is Go High Level, then you can just use one of their pre-built templates for this. If you're not using it, you can just use WordPress or Webflow. We recommend one of these two. They're great. You can have templates there. You can even pay other people to do it for you, which you can see the professional options. So although the DIY option is cheaper, we typically recommend that most firms spend that little bit extra to get a more polished and professional website. It doesn't have to break the bank. As I mentioned before, if you're a small firm, you don't need a lot of clients, you can get away with the A- website. So keep that in mind. You just want to make sure that it meets all of the technical requirements. And when it comes to this, you usually get what you pay for, so keep this in mind. So solid options for this are working with an agency or a freelancer, or those are the two main options that we would recommend. For website integration, you have forms and automation, so you have to make sure that your forms are integrated with your CRM and automation platforms. Many different firms have a form that once people submit, all it does is send one email to them. It gives them a notification, that's it. It doesn't have any automation, nothing going on. So I really don't recommend that. But if you really want to stick with that, you can. I think it's just very easy. If you're using GHL, this can be done automatically. They'll go to your CRM straight away and sync with your nurturing automation straight away. If you're not using GHL, you can most likely use Zapier to connect them with your CRM, depending on what you're using. And then a chat widget. It's very easy to add on. It can help capture more leads. Many CRM platforms, again, like Go High Level, offer chat widget options that can be easily integrated into your website. So keep that in mind. It's easy. It's not complicated. Don't let people tell you that they're going to charge you this exorbitant amount for a chat widget. It's not anything crazy. So That's why it's included with this. It makes it really easy. Then you want to go to Google Search Console. So you want to index your website. Once your website is ready, you've created it or you've had a professional do it. If they're a professional, they would have submitted it to the Google Search Console. But if you're not, submit it here. You're going to have to create an account, prove that you own the domain. And this helps Google index your site, making it easier for potential clients to find you through search engines, because there's no point in having a beautiful website if no one can find it, as I mentioned before. So for this, you want to go to Google Search Console. Here, and you go to Google Search Console Tools, and then you can submit your website. So next, you want to have a Google Business Profile. So make sure you either have created or claimed your Google Business Profile. This helps your firm appear in local search results and in Google Maps. As I showed earlier in the guide, the Maps pack, you need a Google Business Profile to show there. To set it up, you should just fill out your all relevant information, and once you have it, do your best to regularly update it with photos and posts. Also, you should encourage satisfied clients to leave reviews, as this will make it easier to find and it will also make it more trustworthy and credible. So, next is social media profiles. Set up profiles for your firm on key social media platforms, including Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and then do your best to share relevant content, updates, and insights to engage your audience and actually build a following. So respond to comments as fast as you can. Make sure you get to messages. You might actually have some leads in there, and demonstrate that your firm is actually responsive. People will trust you more. And then local directories. So make sure that your firm is listed in all the local directories such as Yelp, Arvo, the local Chamber of Commerce websites. Ensure that all the listings have accurate and up-to-date information, because this is what we find. A lot of firms create this or created it decades ago. It seems like it. They've changed their phone number, they've changed their email, and potential leads that could have come through there just don't have the option to. So make sure that it has all relevant information, and take care of your reputation on these listings. As we mentioned before, all it takes is one bad consultation call and people can leave you a terrible review everywhere. If they hate you, they'll go and they'll leave you a bad review on Yelp, on Arvo, on Google Business, on anywhere they can find you, on your social media. Make sure you take care of your reputation. So now this is the more in-depth section. So the first step is to decide on your primary lead generation channel. And we already covered this in depth in the section 3.1. You should have an idea as to what you're currently missing and what you need to implement. So you just have to decide on a method. Like we mentioned, this is the way we would approach it. Start off with Google Ads, then SEO and content marketing, and then display advertising or TV and radio or social media advertising. We recommend this one first, this one second, this one third, if you're really looking for our specific breakdown. Obviously, you can choose whichever one you want. Step 6 is to actually build this channel out. So once you have decided on the channel, the next step is to get started and start generating leads. So we obviously can't cover all of the specific details in this guide. It's already like an hour and a half long. They will be covered in future channel specific guides like Google, SEO, etc. We will give you a general overview as to what you can do. So typically when you're making this decision, another question comes up. Should you do this in-house or should you work with an agency? We obviously recommend that you work with an agency. Like candidly, we are one. We're pretty biased. But the reasoning behind this is because the legal industry is so competitive and small mistakes could cost you a significant amount. So you should try to find a competent agency that aligns with your values and fits your budget. With that being said, we don't believe you should be tied down to your marketing company for life. I think it's nice working with agencies that will also consult you and teach you how to build these channels in-house for the future if that's something you want. That's something that we do. We try to help our clients if they want to build it out themselves. They want a team member to do it for them. A lot of the bigger firms, they have marketing reps that they want to take over this. But a lot of marketing companies will try to keep you tied down for life. We don't believe in that. We wouldn't want that for our company, so we don't want that for our clients. But we will say, if you're super adamant about doing it yourself, we would recommend starting with local service ads for Google and content marketing. These are the easiest to learn and also don't have as much potential downside as other methods. So I showed what the local service ads look like before. I'm going to come out with an exclusive guide for that. It's pretty simple. It's not that complicated and it can lead to really good results. For some people, it works really well. For others, it doesn't work so well, but the potential downside is much less than other methods, for example, like TV, for example, like Google ads, social media ads, and content marketing as well. I mean, for this, the biggest downside is just time. If you want to write content, sit down, write content like I did for this entire document. There's not that much downside apart from all of the time that it takes you. So if you have time, go through that. Next, step 7 is to come up with more in-depth lead nurturing automations and email marketing. So once you have a solid system for generating leads, you should dedicate a good amount of time into figuring how to make the most out of your marketing spend whilst improving your conversion rates. So step 6 will take some time. Don't expect this to be an overnight thing. Like for a lot of clients, it takes 3 to 6 months to really dial this in and get things to where they're working as well as they could and should. But after that, then you can start worrying about this. Or if you have a company that can do it for you, they can do all of this at the start instead of having the basic lead nurturing automations. So this involves setting up more sophisticated automations and longer term email sequences to try to squeeze as much juice as possible. So you should try to create different nurturing sequences based on lead behavior and intent. If you cater to all leads on the interest spectrum, you will get significantly more out of your advertising spend. Some specific automations you will want are more advanced hot lead nurturing automations. So they have SMS, they have email, they have voicemail. They automatically tell your team what to do just so that you can convert more. Then you want to have consultation nurturing automations. So you don't want to have people no-show, but you also want to convince them that when they go to your consultation that you're the right fit. So having some case studies, testimonials shown here, selling them on why your firm is the right choice before they even head to the consultation. That's really important. You don't want to have to do all the selling on the consultation. Imagine if people came in and 100% of consultations that you took were like, yep, let's get started before they even talk to you. That would be great, wouldn't it? Another one is a no-show automation in case someone doesn't show up to an appointment, what you should do then, if they should receive automated messages, if a team member should be notified. Then a cancellation automation, so essentially trying to get them to rebook, find out why they canceled, getting a team member to get on top of that ASAP. And then finally, a cold lead long-term nurturing automation. So this is more specific for, I guess, practice areas that have a longer decision-making window. For personal injury, for criminal defense, if they haven't gone with your firm, they've probably gone with another firm. That being said, you can still implement it if you like. You might get a little bit extra, but for practice areas like estate planning, it can be really good because you're nurturing these leads over the long term. And sometimes it takes 6 months. It can actually take years, actually. So sometimes they will take years, and then they will decide after seeing a lot of different emails from your firm that, okay, we're now ready to get started. And below you can see a longer email autoresponder. So before we talked about setting up a basic welcome series through the Fast 5 recipe, now you should dedicate more time to building out a longer and more valuable welcome series that sells them on different parts and overcomes different objections that they've had. So you should look at all these different objections, whether a law firm was cheaper, whether they needed to think about it. How can you overcome these objections with the emails so that, again, the person shows up to the consultation already pre-sold? And you should consider combining this with your content marketing and start sending broadcast emails, just providing your audience with value. And whilst this may sound overwhelming, and to be honest, when you're first learning it, it is, you can also pay a professional or agency to do this for you. Step 8 is content marketing. So once these advanced nurturing systems are in place, then we would typically consider starting on content marketing. So the reason we do the automations first is because most of the benefit is extracted from a one-time build out, whereas content marketing requires consistent work for long periods of time. That being said, with the additional work comes a lot of benefits. So to make this process easier for you, we've actually attached a content creation framework which can help you with the ideation, the brainstorming, and planning parts of this step. So again, you can access this with the first link below. These are prompts that we use for ChatGPT, and I'm actually going to show you what they look like live. So the first step is to look at the notes. I highly recommend that you edit these posts, this content. The outputs are definitely not perfect, but it helps a lot with just getting started. Also, sometimes the links are faulty, so keep this in mind. But you can go through, can you give me a list of the top 50 FAQs for practice area in city? So just like that, and let it output it. Just like that. It might take some time to load, so I'm just going to let this load. So as you can see, it generated the 50. So this gives you a lot of ideas as to what you can cover. Obviously, these aren't listed in order. ChatGPT has no way of knowing which ones are the most popular ones. If you want to get more in depth, you can use other tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs. But for this, if you're just a complete beginner and you're getting started with your content and you want to write it yourself, this is a pretty good idea. Then you can go use the second prompt. Can you output in one column the titles of these FAQs and in another a recommended slug for our blog? Make the title SEO optimized. So as you will see, it gives a recommended slug. And this is important for the interlinking, which we're about to show in the next prompt. So again, I'm going to let this load because it does take some time. Okay, after this, you're also going to want to tell it what your law firm website is. Okay, so my law firm website is www.example.com/blog/website is okay. And that way it will add it to that. So you just see it like that. And that way you can create these effective inner linkings. So I'm going to let this load again because it takes a fair amount of time. Okay, now that that's ready, we'll come back here and use prompt 3. So can you create an SEO optimized framework for the first FAQ, which is this one, that is detailed and in-depth. And then it will go through and create a framework. Now, what I would recommend is go through the framework and actually write it yourself, because this eliminates all of writer's block where you don't know what to write about. Because if you get it to write, ChatGPT rarely writes how you want it to, at least at the moment. So you look at it here. If I ask it to write this article, it will probably be pretty short. It will probably be like quite basic. It won't seem too human, but I will still show you what it looks like just so you know. So it broke it down into 10 steps with a conclusion. So we'll go here. Can you write an in-depth article with a human tone? Please make it readable and easy to understand and comprehend. Please use internal links wherever possible, but don't link to the same article twice. Also make it specific to state and city. Again, I want to emphasize that it needs to read as if a human wrote it, not an AI. So we'll go here. And then it will write it. You're going to see it will be okay. You can roll with it, but a lot of the time it will help to just go through it, rewrite it, add more detail. You have to iterate on it. You can't just copy and paste this and expect it to be good. And it also creates the links, as you can see. But one thing you have to keep in mind, which I mentioned here, is that sometimes the links are faulty. So do keep this in mind. This isn't a perfect framework. It's just something that will help you get started so that you don't have to put in as much work with the ideation process and with coming up with the structure. It really helps a lot. And you can also get team members to do it. So you can see here, it's an okay article. It's probably pretty short. I'm not going to spend time reading this because we've done this many times before. But if you're curious, you can go through and experiment with the prompt by yourself. But I hope that was valuable and that it all made sense on how to use it. Again, you can get this in the first link below. So going back here. So here's a few important considerations about content marketing. Quality always over quantity. But we like to think in terms of quality. So how can we produce a lot of quality content without sacrificing the quality? It's just what you have to think about. That's what the big firms are doing. They're producing a huge amount of quality content. It's what you have to compete against. Next is don't just copy and paste AI generated results into your content. The framework is simply that. It's just a framework. Make sure you edit the posts to actually make them quality. And then the third one is consistency is key. You need to stick with this for years. It sucks, but it definitely pays off. If you can tell yourself, okay, I'm going to write one article per week for the next 5 years, you're going to be successful. I'm not saying it's going to take 5 years to be successful, but it definitely helps to have a long-term mindset. If you're thinking, I'm going to make content for the next 6 weeks and we're going to blow up, you probably shouldn't even bother because it's going to take a long time. So keep all of these things in mind. So this brings me to the final thoughts and just sort of wrapping up the video. So in this guide, we have hopefully given you enough to understand what you need to do and why you need to do it. In future guides, we'll include very practical guides on specific processes and even have live build outs if that's some stuff that you guys are interested in. If it is, leave it in the comments below. I'm not sure what you guys want. The only people that know is you. So if you tell me, then I can tailor my videos to that, even answering specific questions that I see in the comments. Here's a few final thoughts. Don't expect overnight results. So whilst results can come fast, this is not the case for everyone. It's best to set lower expectations and exceed them than to expect that you will be achieving your dream in 6 weeks and end up completely let down. The second one, related to the content and everything, stay consistent. Sometimes it seems like the efforts you're putting in are not yielding any benefit at all, and that's normal. Stay consistent and trust that you will be rewarded for this effort. However, it might not be for a long time. And then the final one is seek help if you need it. If you're struggling with this, consider working with someone that knows what they're doing. You can either choose to purchase experience with time or money. So always keep that in mind. See what you have more of. I want to thank you for sticking around until the end. I really appreciate you taking the time to go through this guide in full. It's long. I can see it's been 1 hour and 45 minutes. I truly wish the best for you and your firm in the future. If you wish to get any help, just go to the link in this document. It should be the second link in the description. Candidly, it is designed to get you to try to work with us. If that's something you're interested in, click on that link. If you don't, just keep enjoying the free content that we put out. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.